Fine. Ah, yeah, that's a good idea. So, MAAMER test coming right up. And, chapter 1. So the source of this whole idea that we were talking about in the previous MAAMER, specifically that the good guys receive directly from Hashem, but the bad guys can receive from Hashem in either a backwards way, with getting a teeny little bit, or they can receive in a general way, in makif, and they can beat the system. So let's talk about receiving in a direct way. You do it's known, the seder hishtalshelus, in the whole seder hishtalshelus, the order of chain-like descent. Hu b'chinas ar pnimi. It is, what is seder hishtalshelus? It's an inner ar. It's a direct ar. It's a personalized ar. V'hainu, meaning it's lavshes aris b'kelim dafka. Specifically, investing the aris, the lights into kelim, into the vessels. Put the lights in the vessels. So you have to have a big flashlight, and then you have to have a big cup. No, that's not what it means. It means light means giving forth of energy. Just like the light comes out of the sun, so too the oir, the light, the energy that comes from Hashem, is just like its source. The kelim means the receptacle, the thing that we're trying, Hashem's animating, the thing that's coming into existence. And oir pnimi means it comes in a specific personalized way. Let's give a mashal for this. For example, you have someone down the street, and you're going Mivtzoyim, and yesterday I went to Washington Square Park to go Mivtzoyim, and I met some people, and some people were, I met the guy who was the Lubavitcher, so I spoke to him, and I used Lubavitcher terminology. I met some people who were affiliated with Chabad, so I used a bit of a dimmed down Chabad terminology, and I met some people who were completely unaffiliated with anything religious, so I only used English words and explained everything. So we see that to speak to different people, if you want them to understand, you have to speak on their level. So some people you speak on a deeper level, you speak more of the slang that they are used to. And other people, the language they're used to is going to be different. So too when Hashem comes down into the worlds, Hashem's can't just reveal himself. He has to kind of whittle it down and speak in our language, so to speak, to make his energy come into our kelim in a way that we can handle it. So, what is the first of the kelim? You ready? Veracious kelim. The first one, the kelim. Hu b'chinas Chochmah. That is Chochmah, wisdom. So you have Chochmah bin das, and you have all 10 spheres. Now the first of them is Chochmah. Now let's look at Chochmah. Chochmah is the landing pad for Elikus. So this is going to be both in the Olam L'maylo. So let's say in Atzilus. What's the first sphere? Chochmah. In Brio, what's the first sphere? Chochmah. And what about in a person? Just like with a person down here. Very koyach Chochmah. Chochmah, koyach rishon. That's the first koyach. Shalubish b'kelim be'vari guf. That's invested in the vessels, so to speak, and the physical limbs of the body. Now, before we go on and we spend the rest of the day talking about the difference between Chochmah and Rotzen and how they're invested in the body, let's just talk about how Chochmah is the first point of expression of Oir into the Kli. So you have, let's say, you're trying to understand something. Can someone give me an example of something you might want to try to understand? Tumah and Tyra. Beautiful. So you're having a shir, and someone's giving a shir in Gemara in those topics. So, first, to understand anything, you have to have Chochmah. Chochmah is called koyach ma, which means the ability, koyach, the power, ma means of what. Which that has two meanings. Firstly, the ability to say what. The ability to be inquisitive. The ability to literally be open-minded. Most people have their ideas and their outlook on life. And if they didn't have Chochmah, they'd stay like that. Some people are very challenged using Chochmah, so you speak to them, and whatever you say goes in one ear, goes out the other, and they just keep repeating to you the same points. You ever see these videos of people trying to speak to protesters? It's a waste of time. They don't have any Chochmah, they're not open-minded, they have their ideas, so anything you say to them isn't going to help. But, thank God, we do have Chochmah, so we have the ability to say what? To open up and look, there's something above us. There's something different. There's a different perspective. You can be open to bringing something else into you, and then once you bring it into your Chochmah, then you can think about it with your Binah. If you want, you can apply it to your life with Das. You can have feelings about it with your Midas, until the point of action. Now, here is when the other meaning of Chochmah comes in very important. That Chochmah, koyach ma, the koyach, it doesn't just mean the ability to say what. It means the ability of what? Because it says in the Torah, Moshe and Aaron says, "V'nachnu ma." They said to Hashem, "What are we?" They were expressing their bittul. They were expressing how they felt like nothing before Hashem. So they said, "What are we? We're nothing." So we have the power to be what also, to be like nothing also. So we can put ourselves aside, and this is why Chochmah works. As long as I have my own opinions and I'm thinking about things from my perspective, I'm never going to be able to be open and have the power of what to look at something new. But when I look at myself as what, as nothing, as what am I, then I can be open to Hashem. Then I can move myself out of the way and be a place that I can bring in Hashem's perspective. And only then can I have these new ideas of Elikus come into me. So we see they work together. The bittul of saying, what am I, together with the ability to ask, what is this? So, now we figured that out. That's when, with your Chochmah, in Chaim's example of you have a shear of Tumah and Tara, you can now take in new information, actually bring it into your mind, and digest it with your mind. Now, digest is a borrowed term. But physically, your physical limbs have different functions. So obviously, when you eat food, everyone knows that when you eat food, it goes into your stomach, and that's a big part of the process of processing it. And you have a whole digestive system. You have a stomach, you have intestines, you have a liver, you have kidneys. Hopefully you have them all, yeah? So, that's the digestive system of food. Then, what about for the body to process air? You have a respiratory system. You have an esophagus, and you have lungs, and you have nostrils, and the body can process air. What about information? The body also has a system to process information. That's called the mind. You have different parts of the mind. You have the frontal lobe, you have the brainstem. We saw on the big screen, we saw the whole diagram before. Now, we see that when you have Chochmah, you bring information into your physical brain. Your actual physical, if you take a CAT scan, you can see brain activity when someone's thinking, how the electrical fields are heightened. It's a very fascinating thing. Now, there's going to be one problem over here. Anyone of you guys who have learned some Chassidus before are going to be telling me, 1 second, what do you mean Chochmah is the highest thing? There's Rotzen, sheer will is higher than that. Before you start thinking of things, you have to have what you want to think about. So for the rest of this piece, the Rebbe is going to be explaining to us, the Rebbe Rashab. A lot of people, when they learn a MAAMER, whoever's taught the MAAMER, they say the Rebbe, meaning he's the one teaching us now. So he's going to be explaining to us, very interestingly, that Chochmah is in you in a personal way, as opposed to Rotzen is in you in a general way, and it doesn't affect you in a specific way. You ready? We're going to speed up a bit. The Rotzen, Rotzen, which is above Chochmah, it doesn't have a specific vessel, a specific part of the body to express itself in. Your will is everywhere in your body equally, even though it's felt more in your mind. Most often when people, you ask them what do they want, they think about what they want. Nevertheless, meaning, that doesn't mean that the will is in the mind. It means that your mind is better at feeling the will than your foot. But as far as will is concerned, it's in the foot just like the head. Proof. You ready for proof that will, Rotzen, is everywhere in your body equally? When it comes up in your mind, to move your foot, take off it moves by itself. When you want to move your foot, it moves by itself straight away, without any buffering time. And if you would think that will is found in the head, in the brain, just like the brain, the mind, intellect, which is actually found in the physical brain, there'd have to be a little bit of time until it computes from the brain to come down to the foot. It would be just like when your brain is actually dictating what your foot should do. So if you want to do something, let's say you're there's a dog running at you. So you're walking down the street, and then all of a sudden a wild dog starts running at you. you might instinctively kick it. Yeah? Why are you instinctively kicking? It's because you don't need to think there's a dog attacking me and I'm in danger and therefore I need to kick out, and even though I don't want to harm the dog, nevertheless I have to defend myself, and then I have to command my brain and my foot to move. That's going to take at least a second or two. You know what does take some time? There's sometimes when you think you want to do something and then you command your foot to do it, that's going to take time and practice. For example, if someone trains their foot to do something very professional, with walking nicely. Have you ever seen someone training their feet to walk nicely? Anyone ever seen? What? What?
The army.
The army, that's a good example. They train to march in line. Anyone else?
The guards,
Yeah, the guards in the back of the palace, that's a good example. Yesterday, I was in the Washington Square Park doing Mitzvayim, and I saw a group of people practicing walking in line with like an exact, like silly type of walk. So they're lined up, just practicing, walking back and forward. It's fascinating. Also, a good example also is going to be a sports player. So these people train for hours and hours a day, that, let's say a soccer player, to make sure that his feet hit the ball at the exact right angle and speed, and with the right pressure, that it acts exactly how they want it to. So, with all these things, they have to think about it, and they have to train themselves, and they have to plan how they're going to kick it. And therefore, you need some time. It's very unlikely that you'll find a person who instinctively, when a ball comes towards them, they'll kick it on an exact curve. Only after someone's used their brain with training for years, do they get it so ingrained that they'll do it themselves. So what's our point over here? There's some things, there's pnimi, that you have to think about, and then you do it. And then there's something that's makiv. Some things, it's just part of you. It's just instincts. It's all over you. Whether it's your hand, whether it's your foot. If something attacks you, you're going to lash out at it. So, another example of something you have to train yourself and you have to use your brain for is someone how to dance nicely. I have a friend who dances at Chassidus. He stands in the middle of the dance hall and he does all his cool moves. So I once asked him, "Do you practice?" And he said, "Yeah, practices at home." So, alpi kavanas haseichel, in accordance with the kavanah of your mind, lefit nuas hanigun v'kedomer, that you want to practice according to your mind. Your mind understands how the music's running. Yeah, now's a fast song, now's a slow song. So therefore, I want to dance these moves or those moves. Your feet don't understand. Your feet don't know what song's playing. So instinctively, you're not going to dance faster or slower. Your mind understands there's a fast song playing, so I want to dance fast. So therefore, it has to control your foot. That's when the mind is controlling the foot. You need a specific amount of time, at least a little bit of buffering time. The imun, and you also need to fix it up. You need to practice to make it professional. It doesn't come automatically. There's v'zeo, and this is lefi shabbat derech hishtalshelus. It comes in the way of hishtalshelus, a step-by-step process. Because it's invested in a personal way, in a specific way, in a pneumistic way, meaning that the mind tells the foot. So everything's coming on its level. Meaning in the brain and the head. The brain, the mind is literally invested in the brain. That is a place where seichel lives. And it goes down from one ability to the other. So once you have a brain in your mind, from there it can direct other parts of your body. For example, from the brain it comes to the heart. We didn't say the heart yet, but we're going to say that soon. It comes to the emotions. Until it comes to the foot. So let's say you have a brain in your head. And you're sitting down and you're like, if I walk into the yard over there with dogs, it says warning, dogs, do not enter. So if I'm in there and the dog's attacking me, my rotzen, my will take over and I might defend myself. If I'm outside and I don't feel threatened, I'm going to see the sign. I'm going to think that might be dangerous. Then I might feel slightly scared. And then I might actually act on walking away from there. That's one step at a time. And it's all in the way of personal investment. That the light of intellect is specifically invested in movement in the foot. You need effort, you need investment, you need time. Yeah? You guys ever, anyone here ever been part of a sports team? In camp, maybe?
Yeah.
Whatever, it takes time and effort to get good at it, no?
Yeah.
There we go, because it's not a natural thing. It's not just will. It's something that you have to use your mind. You have to figure out how to be better at volleyball. You have to figure out when you're in the back corner how you're ever going to get the ball. The if the mind is also, if the rotzen, the will, was also melubish, be'ezekli, was also invested in a specific part of the body, you'd also need effort for shalos spending time until it could affect the foot. So let's say you have the part of your body that was the part where will is invested. Just like the brain has the intellect, imagine if like will was invested in the shoulders, let's say. It would take time for that message to reach the foot that you want to do something. Imagine that. Your person wouldn't have instincts. A person's instincts would be just like thought. You have to think about something and decide to do it. A person's instincts would be like a message, and then it'd be like, yeah, maybe I should do something about that. Rather, will is all over the body. One of Royan, we see, the rotzen, will, affects the foot, take it straight away, without waiting at all for some buffer time, without any investment and effort in it, because will, it doesn't have any specific part of the body. It's in the foot just as much as in the head. So, now that we've had that whole discussion about how the first and highest of a person's facilities that's directly invested in his body is the mind, is Chochmah. Because the higher parts of a person, the deeper parts of a person, the person's essence, doesn't have a specific part of the body where it reveals itself. Your will doesn't have a specific part of the body where it reveals itself. It's all over you. So, what is the first thing that comes into you in a personal, specific, what's another word for this? Invested way, that is Chochmah. So now that we figured that out, the first ability, that's invested in a kli, that's the ability of Chochmah. That's invested in the brain. The tlas moichin, and the three parts of the brain, it says in the Zohar, tlas moichin inun. There are three parts of the brain. And as we saw before with the diagram of the brain, Shem Kalim Gimel Koiches Chabad. The reason why Hashem made three parts of your brain is in order that the three parts of the brain will be able to have the three parts of Chochmah bin Adas invested in each of them. Here's something very interesting. The emotions, their place they find expression is in the heart. So according to science and modern medicine, I don't know how many years it's going to take them to catch up with Torah, but they think that the heart is just a pump. It's just a pump. So according to Torah, we find that emotions, which are in you and which affect all parts of you, they are revealed. The emotions come from your nefesh, they come from your spiritual side, but they're invested and they're most revealed in the physical heart. Isn't that interesting? By the way, a good way of seeing this is the fact that when someone gets emotional, their heart pumps faster. It's very interesting. Or there's certain emotions that the heart pumps slower. That's why, by the way, when someone gets angry, their face turns red because the blood is pumping faster, so they turn redder. And when someone gets very shocked, their face turns pale because the heart is pumping slower and the brain and the blood is draining. Even though, if you're really scared, the blood leaves the outside. The blood goes towards the inner organs. Whatever. It's an interesting conversation. Anyone saw the article about the family who had blue blood?
No.
No, it's a very rare condition. The family who had blue blood. So then, when they get angry, their face turns blue. Fine. So, similarly, all the other abilities, yeshlem kelim ve'var miyuchad. They have specific parts of the body that they're invested in. Kitzer, in short, you ready? The inner koiches are invested in specific parts of your body, hishtalshelus, and they come in a step-by-step sense. And the first ability, is the ability of wisdom. Chochmah, the ability to say what? As opposed to will, makif. It's an external, all-pervading overseeing koyach shenimtzu b'kol ivarim is found in every part of the body of any body hishtalshelus, and it doesn't come in a personal way. Lochein, therefore, pa'ulos haseichel, the effect of the mind, bob is askus, it comes in you have to invest effort to think about certain things, and to think and then cause yourself to feel and act. Nimshach shiyasman, there's some buffering time. You have to spend some time thinking. You know when people say, give me a second? I need to think. Pulas erotzen, as opposed to will, bli askus bli shiyasman. You don't have to put an effort, you don't have to wait time, it's just automatic. Fine, fantastic, can't wait to learn tomorrow.